I think the foundation of faith has always been something that's been huge for me, and as I've gotten older, it's become even more important. But I think at a young age, for me, when I started at Sonshine Christian Academy here in Columbus, Ohio, at 5 years old, it kind of just taught me, a little bit about, who I am, as an individual, and then also just, who God is and the importance of having a faith. And then I also have a grandfather who's a pastor in West Palm Beach, Florida, and also being able to learn from him has been awesome for me as well. So I've got a great group of family and friends as well who are all faith based, and those people have definitely helped mold me into the person I am today.
Hello, everyone. This is Tim Brown, author of the book Uncommon Athletes, Filled with Passion, Fueled by Purpose. And I'm blessed to have with me. I've been doing a little series with some young up and coming college coaches. Wanted to give them some exposure and give them an opportunity to share their story to encourage others. If you haven't subscribed already, if you get a chance, please subscribe to the channel and also hit that like button so we can continue posting these. Today, I'm blessed to have with me DeVon Price. He's an assistant basketball coach at Denison University. I've known the Price family and them for quite a while. So welcome to the show.
No, I'm excited to be here. I look forward to just talking with you and just learn a little bit more about what you're doing with Uncommon Athletes, and then also being able to share a little bit about myself and my journey as well.
Oh, great. I think both of us have that solid faith foundation, and how God has been a big part of our life and kind of directing our path through all this. Can you talk about, I first met your family at Sonshine Christian Academy here in Columbus, Ohio. I always want to give Sonshine a shout out for the great job that they've done in turning out outstanding young people. Could you talk about how important that faith foundation was growing up?
I think the foundation of faith has always been something that's been huge for me, and as I've gotten older, it's become even more important. But I think at a young age, for me, when I started at Sonshine Christian Academy here in Columbus, Ohio, at 5 years old, it kind of just taught me, a little bit about, who I am, as an individual, and then also just, who God is and the importance of having a faith. And then I also have a grandfather who's a pastor in West Palm Beach, Florida, and also being able to learn from him has been awesome for me as well. So I've got a great group of family and friends as well who are all faith based, and those people have definitely helped mold me into the person I am today.
Excellent. Could you talk about maybe some of those faith principles that you apply in your coaching journey? What were some of those principles that you try to apply or use?
Yeah, I think integrity
Hmm.
is really important. I think the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Hmm.
And so I try to carry that out in the way that I coach every day, in the way that I communicate with our young men. I also think, just honesty and trust is super, super important. Largely those principles are things that were taught to me through faith. And just I try to carry those things into the way that I interact with our players. Just because whether it's good or bad, like I always want our players to know, where we stand with them, where they stand, how we're feeling, and just want to be able to have open dialogue and have great quality relationships with them. I think everybody can't be happy, but I think if you're able to have honest dialogue so everybody at least knows where they stand and why, I think it makes it a lot easier to be able to have healthy relationships regardless of what role anyone may be in.
Hmm. That's well said. As you were talking, I was listening to you when you mentioned young man, and I'm looking at you and you being a young fella yourself. So how do you, you being young and those guys being kind of quote unquote around that same, generation or whatnot. How do you relate to those guys, being at a different level now?
I think I think I personally feel like I'm at a great age to be able to have a really big impact on them because I'm 27 years old now.
Mm.
So I'm like I'm a little older, but also not far enough removed to where I don't understand the things that they go through, and the way that they're feeling. Because it was just me, being in their shoes, 6 years ago. So for me, I really have, I feel like I have a good understanding of how to interact and how to handle certain situations, just because I understand the things that they're going through. And I'm not so much older to where they don't feel like I can relate to the things that they feel and the things that they share with me. So I definitely think that help build quality relationships, as well as being able to handle things in the best way possible.
Good, good. And I think it's great seeing you on the sidelines, being that example for them as well. Something
Right.
they can aspire to become, so to speak. And all those things you talked about, integrity, trust, and all those things that young people really need today. They need to see somebody who's just real. Who's not faking it, but just real in their relationships. You're currently assistant coach at Denison, the Big Red. Big Red. What attracted you to Denison? I know you've been a few others. What attracted you to Denison?
So honestly, when I was in high school, I didn't know a ton about Denison. I had been here for a couple camps, but I didn't know much about the university. But as I, grew older and got into coaching, I started to learn more about different institutions and what they're about. And I also had a pretty good relationship with my now head coach, Chris Sullivan, and just the type of person he is, his level of character, and just the way he goes about his job on a day-to-day basis has been something that was really attractive to me. And he also trained me a little bit when I was in college, going into my senior year. So he and I spent a few months together getting after it, and I just saw the type of person that he was. And when I found out that he got hired here to be the head coach, I just reached out to congratulate him, and then we just had some conversation and dialogue from there, and there was some mutual interest in me potentially coming here. And after going through the interview process and learning more about Denison, and doing my own research, I felt like it was a place where I was supposed to be.
Awesome. Yeah, once again, it comes back to those relationships, having those relationships. I always share with young people, we always say it's who you know that helps you get to certain places, but
Yeah.
it's who you know that's important, but really is what they know about you.
Yeah.
Because a whole lot of people know. So when they say your name, there's something coming after that, and you want to make sure that that's something positive. Let's talk about your high school and college basketball experience and how that prepared you for coaching. I know you're a standout high school basketball player, went on to play college basketball at St. Joe in Indiana, and then also at University of Rio Grande. How did that prepare you for coaching?
I had a series of coaches from the time I was in, junior high, middle school, up until playing all the way through college, that were all just tough coaches. And all those coaches just continued to instill in me, mental toughness, unselfishness, and also gave me just some tough love. And I have great relationships with all of them to this day. And they all just really helped prepare me to where I'm at now, because there was really no point in life where things were easy for me. Like, I was always being challenged, always being pushed. And because of that, I think it helped prepare me to be able to understand, like, yes, college coaching is going to be different from playing. But there's a lot of little nuggets that I was taught along the way that helped me be better prepared for this journey that I'm on right now.
Can you share with the audience one of those little nuggets that you mentioned that kind of still sticks in your mind?
I would say the biggest thing is just the importance of a relationship outside of the court. I think every coach who is pretty good is going to challenge you and push you to get the most out of you. But I think when you step outside of those lines and the basketball is not bouncing anymore, I think it's really important for coaches to be able to connect with their players, to let them know that they care outside of whether or not they're scoring baskets. And I was fortunately able to have coaches who were able to do that all the way growing up. And whether or not I always agreed with them, we always had a great relationship because they showed that they cared about me as an individual. And that's something I try to do with my players today. It's like, hey, I might be on you, constantly every day about, doing this better or that better. But at the end of the day, like, there's still so much love for you. And I genuinely want to make sure that our players understand that. And our head coach does a great job of that as well.
Good, good. Sounds like you've been blessed to be under some good coaching, along the way. Speaking of that, you went right from playing finish up playing and right into coaching, right to Bluffton. But was that part of the plan? Did you know that all along that, hey, this is gonna be my next step, that I wanted to coach? How'd that transition go?
I knew I wanted to coach at some point, but I didn't know when, and I didn't know necessarily what level. And for me, my whole life, I got my degree to be a sports writer. Like I've always wanted to write. My dream, growing up was to work for Sports Illustrated or like ESPN the magazine. And about a month or two before graduation, I was like, I really enjoy writing, and I do think it could be something that is pretty impactful. But I just felt like there was a calling for me to do something that was a little bit more and a little bit more hands-on.
Mm.
And for me, coaching was that outlet, and I tried to really try to figure that out those last couple of months. And so again, going back to Coach Sullivan, he reached out to me to work some of his personal summer camps right after graduation when I was a senior in college. So he was still the assistant at Denison. And he asked me to work his personal camp. So I worked his personal camp just to make some extra money after graduation. And then after working that camp, he asked if I wanted to work Denison's kids camp. He knew I was still looking for a job, and said, hey, you want to make some extra money in the meantime. And so I went and worked Denison's kids camp. And Coach Galoni, who's a former head coach here at Denison, said, he thought I was doing a pretty good job with the kids and everything like that. And he asked me if I was really looking to get into coaching seriously. And I told him yes. So he made a phone call for me to give me an interview at Bluffton. And I took the interview and ended up getting that job. And I was there for 2 years. But I was able to fortunately kind of get my coaching experience expedited, because a lot of people typically start off as a volunteer or a graduate assistant. But for me, I was able to get the experience of like a full-time assistant right away, because it was only my head coach, Coach Guy Neal, and myself. I mean, because of that, I had hands-on in recruiting and scouting, game planning. I was our strength coach. I led our study tables. I had so many different roles and hats that I had to wear that it was a great experience for me, and at times overwhelming. But I think it was able to help prepare me, for, truly being in that full-time assistant coaching role that I'm in today.
Yeah, I think sometimes people look at the coaches on the sidelines and they don't see the backstory, of all that goes into that. It ain't all glamorous on Saturday afternoon. Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into that.
No, it's a little more to go to it than yeah.
Yeah, my son TJ, he was on here once, and he shared that his nickname was TJ Brown. No job's too big, no job's too small. TJ Brown can do it all.
Yeah.
And that kind of sums up the role of those assistant coaches or whatnot.
Yes.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
As you went through that process, what now you are that assistant coach, what are some life lessons you want to impart to your players? What are some of those life lessons?
I think one of the biggest things for young people in general, as well as our players, that's really important is understanding like there is a difference between being squeezed and being stressed. And I think in order for all of us to grow, we need to go through being squeezed, and we need to be pushed a little bit, and we need to get outside of our comfort zone. And for me, going from a player where, I did a lot of different things in college, like I was leading a Bible study, I was an RA, I was team captain, and obviously playing at the same time, and trying to excel academically in the classroom with all those different things going on. For me, I was doing a lot. And what I realized once I got to, being a college coach, it was like I was doing a lot, but there's a whole lot more that I could still be doing. And I realized that when I got into college coaching, and I realized how much I was being squeezed, and those lessons that I was able to learn in early coaching that at times almost forced me to want to give up, like just to keep pressing through it, keep pressing on, and allow yourself to be uncomfortable, because you're not going to grow if you stay within your comfort zone at all times. And that's probably the biggest lesson that I can give to any young person is it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be, what you like. And there's going to be things that you don't understand of why you're going through it. But ultimately take each situation and view it as, what can I grow? Like, how can I grow? And what can I learn from these moments and these experiences that I'm currently having? And when I was able to shift my mindset from, man, I have all these things on my plate and I don't know how I'm going to juggle it, versus, how can I grow and what can I learn from this experience? My experience completely transformed when I was at Bluffton, and ultimately, allowed me to be, more prepared for where I'm at today.
Wow, that's powerful, being squeezed. As you were sharing it, I was thinking about the Bible scripture in Romans where it says all things work together, for the good of those who love the Lord, are called according to his purpose. And that's one of the things, once you get that, and so you see all these things you got going, and then you begin, man, well, how does this fit in? Or why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then you look back over those things, and then you see where, oh, I get it now. Light
Yes.
bulb, all that was working together, for the good, because it can be overwhelming. It can seem overwhelming, but just keeping in mind that everything's working together for the good, and it all
Yes,
come
sir.
out. As you're at this level of coaching now, could you talk to young players about the opportunities and the advantages of playing at a lower division school? How some guys all want to, they got this dream of Kentucky, Duke, Power Five, but there's some opportunities and advantages of playing at that level. Can you talk about that?
I think first and foremost is, having a realistic understanding of where you're at as an athlete first and foremost. I think, having, a good self-evaluation and having people around you who are going to be honest with you about where you're at is really important first and foremost, to know, where you belong at. Because everybody would want to play at Kentucky or Ohio State or Duke, but not everybody is, able to do that. There's only so many spots and so many, opportunities that are available. And so one thing that I try to talk to any young person about when it comes to the recruiting process is to focus on the fit versus the level. That's so important because you see the transfer portal right now has been, absurd, the past couple of years, just because so many players get opportunities, and because, it seems glamorous, or it's the highest level, they'll take that opportunity, not realizing that it may not be a great fit socially or academically or location wise. And because of those things, it's really important to have an understanding of, what's truly the best overall fit, rather than what is, the highest level that I can get to. And just along with that, I think at the small college basketball level, whether you're talking Division II, Division III, or NAI, you typically have, smaller class sizes and more of like a close-knit relationship with people upon campus. When you get to some of those large institutions like Ohio State, it's really tough to build relationships because your class size might be 200, 300 students in every class. And you just become kind of a name on a piece of paper, on an attendance sheet, as opposed to being able to genuinely build relationships with professors, which is really important as a student athlete. And along with that, at a lot of Division III institutions specifically, you have really good alumni networks that are really close and tight knit, and connect the recent graduates or graduates with the current students and student athletes to be able to help give them opportunities or put them in position to get opportunities once they graduate. And as well as, having a high level of academics. Like I know you have, certain schools at Division I level who really excel academically, and really, at the NAIA and Division II levels, which are great levels and super competitive, and every level is a great opportunity. It's just a little bit different from the way that those are structured in comparison to Division III. And so with Division III, there's different rules that allow student athletes to be able to have somewhat of a better balance when it comes to athletics and their social life and personal lives. Just because in Division III, when you're out of season, you only get a specific amount of time where our coaches can be hands-on with the players. And because of that, it allows our players and students and student athletes to be able to be more involved in other things and other interests outside of basketball, which I think is really important in being well-rounded and being prepared for life after basketball, whenever that ends. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Oh, that was powerful. Focus on the fit, not the level. Yeah, you didn't drop so many gems on me. I gotta borrow all these. That was good. As we kind of wind the corner here, what is one word? Give me a word that would describe describe DeVon Price, and as a coach, and why. What's that one word that would describe you and why?
I would say impactful. And the reason I would choose the word impactful for myself is because I want to be impactful in each area of every player's life that I come across, that I get to interact with and engage in, that comes in the program that I'm working with, and also every program that I'm in. I want to be impactful in our student athletes' lives and in our institution here at Denison currently. And as an institution, like I want to be able to help, our program and in recruiting and building relationships and scouting, and conditioning and academics. Like I want to be impactful in each of those areas and kind of leave my personal stamp on every program and every person that I get to interact with. And so that's the word that I would probably best use for me is impactful, because that's what I strive to be every day, is to be impactful to our program and to our players.
Powerful. Yeah, that's well said. A powerful word. That not just being around, but having an impact. A long-lasting impact, long after the playing days is over, long after they're in relationship as a player with you, you're still having an impact on their life. And that's that. I think that's the teacher in you, because that's what this thing's all about. Really, just being a teacher. It's more than just basketball, just teaching life lessons. Lastly, there's some young guys who are involved in and young ladies who are involved in sports. What would you say to those who are interested in becoming a coach, and what should they been doing now to help prepare themselves for that? If they have some interest in being a coach or doing some things after their basketball career is over, staying in basketball, what would you advise them to do in preparation for that next step?
I would say a few things. I got a couple things to list off. I would say most importantly, as I kind of mentioned earlier, allow yourself to be squeezed and get uncomfortable. Be disciplined and focused and organized, because as a coach, there's so many different things that we have to do, and we have to be able to manage our time well and be disciplined and be able to kind of wear so many different hats at one time, that if you're not organized, you're going to fail. And so it's really important to make sure that you have a certain level of discipline and organizational skills to be able to thrive in your job as a coach. Be a sponge, be willing to learn from as many people who have done it before us as possible, and our peers as well. Nobody has it all figured out. The best coaches in the world, Coach K, Tom Izzo, Roy Williams, Calipari, all those guys will tell you like they don't have it all figured out. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely recommend to be a sponge, and lastly, just being a good person. I think that is something that is undervalued in a lot of careers. To be a good person and to make decisions with integrity and as high level of character as they possibly can. Because ultimately, as you mentioned, like relationships are important. And when people know that they can trust you and your character, I think that goes a long way, even further than, your knowledge on the game of basketball or whatever sport it may be. So lastly, I would just say definitely just having a high level of character and integrity in everything that you do.
Yeah, I'm glad you hit on two of my favorite words, integrity and character. And character, I talk all the time in sports, and in the book we talk about uncommon character, and it's that talent will take you so far, but character is what keeps you there. Talent will take you to a certain level, but it's the character that will keep your personal character will keep you around. And integrity is not what you say, it's what you do.
Yes, sir.
People say a whole lot of things, but a man of integrity, does what he says he's going to do. And if he'll tell you if he's not able to do it. There's something that I'm not able to do, but that's what integrity is all about, and those care. And you definitely have those qualities. So, a couple that as we wrap up, I want to speak to how proud I am of you and what you've accomplished in life, but also want to acknowledge your parents.
Yes, sir.
Knowing your family, man, just a great family. Who and I remember well how they believed in you. They were right there. They were right there with you. And it shows, and I think sometimes we forget how important that parental relationship or just parent support, is in our life. And then I want to encourage you to continue to be that example, because there's some other young guys who are coming down the pipe, and that you are definitely an impact. Just the fact that you're on that campus and being visible and being seen on that sideline, and you never know what gym you're in, what place you're at, who's watching. There's always some eyes on you. Because, you're a coach, there's always some eyes on you, There's always some people watching. And so I want to commend you for handling that spotlight.
Thank you.
Handling that spotlight. And lastly, I want to thank you for answering the call. that God had a call on your life, to be that influencer, to be that impact, that this next generation. And truly you answered that call. So I would encourage you to keep doing what you do. And I'm just so excited to be able to showcase, some young guys, who are at a level, they may not be seen on television and all that, but they're working just as hard, working just as hard and just as impactful as well. So DeVon, thank you for your time. I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to coming down and watching the Big Red win that championship.
Thank you. I'm super excited for our program and kind of where we're at. We're really young, super talented. And so we're just trying to do our best as coaches to be able to bring that out of them. And allow them to work together and be able to showcase their gifts. So definitely anybody watching this, if you're looking for some good small college basketball or want to learn more about the Division III level and what that looks like, definitely come check us out in Granville at Denison University. I think it'll be fun to watch.
All right. Well, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.